Hello and welcome to today's interview segment at Atelier Musical, our online and live recording session in the Hudson Valley. My name is Heike Bachmann, I'm Atelier Musical's video host, and I'm very excited to introduce you to today's artistic panel. First up, we have our recording artist today, pianist Will Lauricella. Will has won already numerous piano competitions and awards in Europe and in the United States. And he is our most recent fellowship recipient of the joint collaboration artist residency and fellowship between the Empire State Youth Orchestra and Atelier Musical. In that respect, I'd like to welcome back Etienne Abelin, music director of the ESYO and conductor of its symphony orchestra. And we have Patrick Lohr, Grammy-nominated sound engineer, acoustic designer, and founder of Atelier Musical. And last but not least, we have a special guest, Julian Martin, pianist and professor on the piano faculty at Juilliard, where Will is involved currently. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful to have you. Maybe if we can stay for a minute at the fellowship, just briefly. Who can tell me what happened here in the last 3 days?
Oh, what happened? Music. Well, just a word about the fellowship, which started because we started talking together, and you had this incredible and generous idea that we could do this fellowship as an opportunity for some of the extraordinary young artists that we have at the Empire State Youth Orchestra, or alumni of ESYO. And the idea really is to create an opportunity for young artists to have a recording session and have a recording experience on a very, very high level early in their career, for all sorts of reasons, to have a perspective, to open the vision of what that is and how that can influence their artistry, and to have Julian here with us was of course an incredible opportunity today, and incredible privilege. And ultimately to maybe have a product that is usable.
It's also a timestamp one day for Will, I think. Yeah.
Want to add something?
Sure. The process of this residency is also to help young musicians like William to understand the process that goes into recording when you become professional. Until today, you stop me if I'm wrong, but until today, all students of your age pretty much have gone in recording studios, but just to record a demo tape to get into a school, and there was never a research of sound that was performed. It's just you show up, it's like you have 2 hours, everything's already mic'd, the piano's what it is, if it's in tune, you're lucky, and you just get your takes and then you hope to get into the school. Here we spent the first day playing with different kind of microphones. I had Will bring some of the recordings he likes, so that would instruct me in terms of what sound production he likes to hear and enjoys when he hears a pianist. Then when Julian came, we did the same thing last night. After the whole day of work, we sat here and we listened. Everybody just shared recordings, and we talked about what we like about the sound, what we don't, or the performance is amazing, the sound not so good, so who cares? As long as the performance is there. And and so the idea is to get a product that can help Will in furthering his career, and maybe show it to auditions or programs that can help him. But mostly now he's also going to learn about the editing process and how we go through, finishing the production.
Yeah, what the next step is. And
one of the things also is that Julian shared with Will what he should listen to in terms of the voicing of the piano, and Will also got to work with a piano technician on site for 3 days that really tailored the instrument to his needs as much as we could. And so that's the whole package, where he would basically had 3 people working for him, 4 people working for him.
For 3 days?
For 3 days, yeah.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Okay.
Will, why did you choose these 3 pieces? So one is a relatively, when I say new one. It's not new, it was just rediscovered, the Bosner Sonata by Haydn. And then we have the Appassionata, one of the most recognized classical pieces. And we have a scherzo by Chopin. Yes.
Yes.
But how did you come up with these 3 pieces for tonight's program?
Well, I think the most significant to talk about, because many people may not know the piece, is Haydn's Bosner Sonata. It's given that nickname because it was recently discovered in the middle of the 20th century in Bolzano, Italy. The manuscript was recently discovered and attributed to Haydn, so it is a technicality that we could say that it's not. We don't technically know that it's confirmed to be Haydn's work, but I think everything about the style, everything about the phrasing, the asymmetry of the phrases is clearly in the style of Haydn and his very good sense of humor. So since it is a recently discovered work, you may only find 2 to 3 recordings of it on YouTube or on streaming services, and many of them, I think, may not have the excitement factor, because I think there is a certain sparseness to the score that only comes alive when on repeats you're adding ornamentation or you're embellishing certain fragments. And I really got to experiment with that from Professor Martin, who told me to start experimenting, and I took it to the practice room and just started fooling around with certain phrases and what I could do, and it made it a very exciting and spontaneous experience, especially with an audience as well. You try to take risks and be very decisive with how you want to phrase and ornament certain passages as well. The other 2 pieces, the Appassionata, is just a very big work that I've been working with Professor Martin since last summer on, and it, I think, I always had the musical conception there, but I think only until I really recently had the technical capabilities to come to a very relaxed sound and voicing in certain passages, and also just the tempo and the atmosphere of the first movement and the voicing of the second movement. There's so many intricate details in Appassionata that you could always keep working on that piece for very, very long, and still keep finding new details and new beautiful elements to work with. So I've been working on that as probably the biggest and most heavy piece that we've had to record. And then the Chopin, I also just wanted to balance it out with, it's a shorter work, but still a very quite emotionally intense, mentally exhausting piece. So it's good to balance the Haydn with 2 more very mentally exhausting pieces, especially in Chopin with the coda and the octaves, very, very technically exhausting.
Yeah. I think these pieces are known to be technically demanding, but also emotionally demanding. That's why I wanted to ask you, Professor Martin, how do you prepare a young performer who hasn't lived life, who is still starting out, mentally, emotionally, for pieces like that?
Emotionally, it's not I don't think it's a question of emotional. They either are emotional and understand their emotions. Those are things that they have to see, like a sculptor unearthing a shape that they've envisioned from a block of stone. So it's not about how emotional Will is, but when the notes and phrases emerge from a score, how he associates something that brings it to life. So you can't tell someone be excited. What is it? It has to do with, my teacher always spoke my teacher was Leon Fleischer, and he always spoke in terms of a sense of inevitability. When you look at phrases emerging from the score, if things don't line up in a certain way to necessitate a certain reaction, then it's not going to be powerful or convincing. So one thing must create another. Laws of supply and demand in a certain way.
Excellent. How long have you been working together?
Really 1 year, plus a couple of summers, right?
1 year. We started at Bowdoin last June. Yes, so
Very good.
about 1 year.
So will you go to Juilliard And as I mentioned before, if there's one conservatory in the world that everybody knows, it's Juilliard. I was thinking for our audience tuning in, they probably are interested, what does a day in the life of Will Lauricella, the student at Juilliard, look like? You get up in the morning, what happens next?
So we have the core classes of the curriculum include music theory, ear training. We also have a music history course, and you don't have everything on the same day. I usually have a few classes in the morning, and then on top of that, I also have a studio class where you perform for your peers, and they give you comments as well as performance class, where you also have opportunities to perform with people in your class. That would be the undergraduates. We're first year this year. I just finished first year. And after that, it's a scramble to the practice rooms and making sure you can get a piano. And this year it's a little bit lucky because we do have certain pianos in the dorms, and it can be a very busy time for the entire school, getting out of classes and into getting a room available.
Yeah, I heard of a friend who studied at not New England Conservatory, at Berkeley in Boston, and he said I slept under the piano, so it would be available for me to practice it, a particular piano that happened to be a good one, and I can imagine that scrambling. How many pianos are there to practice on, roughly?
I don't know the exact number of pianos, but most of the practice rooms, fourth and fifth floor, I don't quite have a number.
How can I envision that? It's like half the size of this room or even smaller, and there's a piano, and you...
I would say half the size of this room.
There's a little
less.
variability. Some of them are not in such a square, but square footage about this. Some of them have two pianos, some have one piano. The total number that you're looking for is probably around 60 on the fourth floor, and then there are assorted spaces on the fifth floor is all classrooms. Some of those they can also use. So there are scattered spaces aside from the practice room wing, which is half of the fourth floor, which is a fairly large building. And then in addition, the dormitory has one piano on every floor.
Usually two. Some of the floors are different, and they may only be for instrumentalists. It's tough to get into those at times as well. But you have two practice rooms on each of the floors where the suites are.
Yeah, it's amazing. Usually it's hard to get people to practice. In your case, it's hard to get an instrument to practice, right?
At times, yes.
And then what's the end of the day? Like preparing for classes the next day, or what?
So you do have a little bit of work in terms of I have music theory, and then there's quite a bit of study for music history. We have textbook readings. In terms of ear training, I just finished my ear training requirements, but they have us do clef reading and rhythm and score reading and sketch studying. So that's a good substantial amount of homework to balance with practice time as well.
Yeah. So these recording sessions that we are doing here at Atelier Musical are in a high-end recording studio, but there's also a live audience present. How does that affect your playing, if at all?
I think it certainly gives a different level of, you have a different energy in the room, and that can, of course, affect your adrenaline levels and how focused you are on maybe a certain broader musical gestures rather than the technicality. When you're focusing on very minute details, or whether this note speaks here, that's very, I would say, just plain, very, very, in terms of the recording session, when we're just looking at this wasn't quite clean, it's very striving for a perfectionism, but maybe with an audience setting, especially when thinking about pieces like Haydn, really require that kind of spontaneous feel that only maybe the energy of an audience, especially one that hasn't heard that piece before, can really experience.
Excellent. Oh, very interesting. Did you have an idol, a pianist that you admired when you were a young student? Someone you looked up to, someone inspired you?
I wouldn't say I ever, at least up to this up to that point, I don't know if I ever had one that I completely worshipped everything they did, but I did see Andras Schiff in Carnegie Hall, and when I was fairly young, and I found that to be a very inspiring performance. So I like a lot of what he does.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good choice. Yep. I once saw Radu Lupu. Have you heard of Radu Lupu? I
Yes,
saw him at
I
the
have.
Munich Philharmonic. Boy, that was quite an experience.
That's one of my idols. Yeah.
Really,
He was,
I'm
yeah.
so happy to hear that. He's unbelievable, right?
He's
Yes.
unbelievable,
Yeah. I was, very young.
I have a question for Julian. If that's not Haydn, who else could it be? Could it be anybody?
Well, why was Amadeus the success about what we consider Salieri has I think deservedly been recognized as mediocre compared to a Mozart, right? Because I heard a Salieri symphony not long ago, and I thought there's a reason Mozart is Mozart.
Exactly.
So there could be any number of people in that. I believe it's Haydn. I don't think it's great Haydn. I mean, if there are about 60 sonatas, more or less, and I think a dozen to 20 of them are really masterful, and some of them even profound. But they're not, a lot of them are not aiming at being profound. It's about elegance and balance, and good behavior. I said to somebody recently, all the big ones, Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, Haydn. Haydn's the only one I would actually like to have dinner with.
He's so much fun, right? Like there was
Oh,
like
yeah. So many, I think he was
cheeky,
genuinely
mischievous, and
Yeah.
enjoying life, and he was very good to his musicians.
Yes.
He sent them home, and there's like, I don't know which piece it is, and it was
The
Christmas.
Farewell Symphony.
Farewell,
Because it was
yes.
like creating a musical strike because they weren't being paid enough.
Yeah.
So he wrote into the piece so they would eventually just leave one at a time.
And he was left, I think, because
only-
Count Esterhazy
Only
wouldn't let
two
them go.
violinists are left, right? At the end. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's amazing.
Great guy. What was the highlight for you in these 3 days? Well,
I think-
what would you say?
First of all, it's just a very new experience for me to listen to the sound production and how different something can sound between the range of both, especially when we are talking about two pieces that are vastly different in character between the Haydn and the Chopin, what we really started doing with in terms of the sound, and really trying to bring out the expansiveness of the Chopin as compared to the more limited voices of the Haydn and that range. That was a very, very good experience. And also, I think just the way that I've been able to adapt to the environment and the instrument and feel more relaxed and very at home in my musical intentions. And that's evolved a lot over just 3 days. And I think I've really produced a product that has greatly improved from when I first started working on these pieces.
Heike, could I jump in a second? I
Yes,
want to
please.
acknowledge this instrument and this technician, because so many times in this situation where you have beautiful equipment that's going to do a great job on the best you can do as the performer, there's always a struggle to make what you want to happen come out of that instrument. It's almost the reverse here. Will brought a pretty high level of his own hard work and sweat and preparation, but a lot of what he was doing and what I helped speed along was discovering how many more options he had because of this beautiful piano and the really wonderful work done by Bobby.
Bobby Evie, yeah.
Okay, having a technician is an integral part of this whole production. And so he began to think of things because of the instrument can inspire, is what I'm getting at. And sometimes if the instrument doesn't inspire, then the whole onus is totally on him with his skill. And if you appreciate the instrument, it's like having a spectrum of colors that you can walk into, and it changes the flesh tones.
Totally, it's like a dance between
Yeah.
you and the instrument.
So that's something that has to be at least part of the process, has to be
Yeah,
acknowledged.
that's huge, I would say. Yeah.
So what would happen daily is that Bobby would work when we don't work. And so this morning Bobby got up at 6, he prepared the piano because he knew we were going to start at 9 this morning. And Will came to rehearse, to warm up at 9 o'clock. And while Will was playing, I asked Bobby, he's like, did you put the piano on steroids or something? It's like everything sounds so much bigger. It's like, and Bobby looks at me, he's like, no, it's him. He just like suddenly just let loose. I mean, he really digged in the piano.
But it's like when kids first take a toy out of the box, right? You don't know how it works, and within a few seconds they begin to see what the toy can do. This is that on steroids.
Yes. So the piano can be inspiring. A good instrument inspires your
Absolutely.
performance.
Yes, and I found that especially when we started working in the Chopin, the different, just minute details in color and in intensity that you can get out of an instrument like that. The amount of range and expressive possibilities is almost endless on that kind of an instrument.
Excellent. Which piece are we going to hear at 7? You're finishing the Appassionata, I think, right?
Yes, so I'll be playing the last 2 movements of Appassionata,
Yeah.
and I will be playing the first movement of Haydn. I just did the second and the third, so for this session I'll be doing first as well. And if there's time, we may do another take of Chopin as well.
Excellent.
Yes.
And you will be sitting?
Yep.
It was fascinating to watch, like a masterclass live. Really, when you write on the website, watch art in the making, this is really art in the making, what we were just watching. Thank you for that. It was great. Thanks.
Well, it's a very rare opportunity. I mean, I wish all my students could do this at some point. I've never done exactly this.
Yeah.
I've done some sort of hand-holding in recording sessions, but never something that was actually, it's not exactly like a master class because we can't take that much time, but you have to find out how little you can say that would make a big difference in a few seconds. So it's a very different experience for me, and I think for Will too.
You need a student who absorbs it quickly too, but you...
Yes, it wouldn't work with everybody.
Yeah, I got that. It's clear. So thank you very much for adding so much context to the pieces and to the performances that the audience will witness. And in that sense, also thank you very much to our online audience at home. As always, you will receive a link to the live performances. And if you have any questions or would like to attend a future performance, you can find us at ateliermusical.art. I hope you enjoyed this segment. Thanks for tuning in and see you soon.